Howdy, this is PixelBlipsPodcast for August 26th. Yes, 26th. I don't know my watch. My watch battery ran out.
It's dead.
Is it on here? No, it's not.
No, it's on here.
Screw your phone. Anyway, Dave. I'm Andrew Ryan. That's Dave DeWert. Dave, what are you playing this week?
This week specifically. I've been playing Darksiders 1. I've had it for the better part of a year. I think I only got like an hour and a half into it, and then I got busy with other crap. So I picked up my game where I left off. I'm in, I think, the second dungeon, which is like the water temple from Zelda.
Yes. I stopped playing after the bat boss fight. Was the last
That's
thing I
the
remember
first
doing.
Boss fight.
No, because I remember the water temple.
Oh.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
The first boss fight
I remember the
reminds me a lot
subways.
like
I remember the subway.
boss fight. That's kind of where the water temple is, because you got a lot of subway cars.
Anyway.
But yeah, so I'm playing that, and I've also been working on the first Gears of War, because I bought it at a garage sale for $6 or whatever, and I'm just trying it out.
Brofist!
And it's all right. I'm pretty terrible at third-person shooters, so I'm having a rough go of it. But maybe I'll stop sucking halfway through and figure out how to play that game proper. So I also bought Legend of Zelda.
Do you want me to get you a copy of Madden?
No, I don't need Madden.
Okay,
I'm terrible at sports games.
Since you're on this kick, I thought maybe.
No.
Madden.
No,
Halo?
totally good.
You want Halo?
I thought about it.
I'm sure we could probably find Halo for $1.
I'm sure I could find a copy of Halo 3 for $1 or ODST. But
I wouldn't buy that for $1.
I wouldn't buy that for $1. But I also picked up Legend of Zelda, the original, in a gold cart at vintage stock. The gold cart looks like crap because some little kid just stomped on it, but it still works, so that's good. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing this week. I haven't really dumped a lot of time into it. I did set up Zelda so that I've got the original quest and then the second quest, and I forgot how hard the goddamn second quest is.
I've beaten the second quest, but not since I graduated college.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing?
I've been playing some stuff. We've been over, like, 2 weeks ago I bought a Dreamcast, so I've been messing around with it. I've become a giant fan of Jet Grind Radio.
It is a great game. I love that game.
Amazing.
And it has one of the best soundtracks of the game of that generation. I'm at work listening to that soundtrack off YouTube. I love the art style, I love everything about it. Starting to get the gameplay down. It's kind of different. Yeah, you have to get used to it.
The Dreamcast doesn't have that second stick. So I'm getting used to fumbling around the camera. I might actually pick it up later this summer when it releases in the HD-ish version for
the
PS3,
the redone
Vita,
version
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just because I like it enough, I want to buy it again. Let's see what else I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of GigaWing. I love GigaWing.
Yeah.
In the arcade, and then at some point I was like, oh, GigaWing's on the Dreamcast, and you can download it and pirate it because you're never going to be able to find it to buy.
Ever.
Which I don't implore pirating.
Don't do it unless you has to.
Yeah, like there's a difference between like pirating to pirate and pirating because you want to actually freaking play the game. And there's just no way you're going to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, all the eBay auctions for GigaWing I saw were going up over $60, and there's just no way I'm going to be able to afford that.
And on that note, like I was at a shop. They had Dreamcast games. I think I saw Skies of Arcadia is still going for like $35-$40. So those Dreamcast
there's a difference between $35-$40 for a game
60 to 70 for a game that's
bucks.
10 years old.
Yeah.
So, but still, I mean, those are
like
hard to find or very popular titles.
I do a lot of collecting. I do a lot of retro game stuff. And when we were kids, a big title that I played a lot on the Sega Genesis was this game called Crusader of Senti. Okay. And Crusader of Senti was published by Atlas. It's basically a Zelda Link to the Past clone. Yeah. But the Sega-ized version of it, so there's a lot of different stuff. The problem is now that I'm an adult, I really wish I'd never sold that cartridge back, because loose, I've seen the cartridge go for $110 at auction. Yeah. That's a game I'm never going to play again, or going to get to play again, in its native form.
Yeah,
and that
unless you get it off the internet.
Bums me out, yeah.
But, emulators are easy to find, and ROMs are not particularly difficult if you really want to look for them.
It's true, but once again, eventually the only thing we're going to have of these older video games are going to be ROMs. Yeah. So you should really enjoy them in their
as they
native
were
state
initially
intended
to be
as long as you can. Yeah. Because, when we're old farts, the ROMs are going to be the only thing left. Yeah. So what else have I been playing this week? Oh, I beat Catherine. I finally beat Catherine.
Beat Catherine?
Beat Catherine. That sounds a lot worse.
Poor Catherine.
Once I've said it.
Yeah. You beat the game called Catherine.
Yes, I finished the game called Catherine.
There you go.
with the normal lover ending. So I ended up with Catherine with a K.
The one that you start the game with? Or
Yes, the one with glasses.
Okay.
I'm not going to give anything away, storyline-wise. I'm only going to say that the last couple stages of that game are
brutal,
incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Even on normal. And I thought I was really good at that game until the last two boss fight stages, and I'm just like,
no.
I spent 4 hours each on them, just
trying
drilling,
to grind through them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just trying to figure out which ways and how the blocks fall. And the difference is like the non-boss levels, you can kind of remember, if I move this block, that means this block 3 stories up also drops.
Yeah.
But on the boss levels, it becomes totally random, and there's a lot of luck involved.
You have to. And that kind of sucks, though. Like, because there's, luck in games is kind of crappy for the player. I remember
sound shapes. Death mode on sound shapes is a whole lot of luck.
Yeah, and no matter how skilled you are, you could just get boned by really bad RNG.
But that's part of what we consider the classic Nintendo hard.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that like you can see like, oh, if I was going after that coin and had it only popped up, half the screen closer to me, I would have won. So I just need to keep playing it until I get that going.
Yeah. Well, that might just be a timing issue. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Sound shapes death mode, you have a certain amount of time that's very short to collect a certain amount of coins.
Oh, okay.
And every time there's only one coin on screen at a time, so you have to grab that coin, and then it randomizes where the next coin shows up.
Oh, so it's just, you can go back and forth.
It's sometimes you can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And other times you'll jump and hit like 4 of them as they pop up in front of you in the jump.
It just depends on how lucky you are. That's
cool.
It
just gives you the luck. And it really drives you to keep playing that game.
Yeah.
Sound shapes is another thing I'm playing this week. You should definitely pick it up.
You've been playing it on the Vita, the PS3, or both?
Both.
Okay.
There's a cloud sync to it, so any progress I make on one I can upload to the cloud. I can come back.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I got beef.
You got lots of beef?
I got a side of beef.
Andy's got the beef.
My beef is with the Bearded Gamer. I've never talked about before. I watch the show occasionally, and specifically something he said in relation to something this other guy said, Alex Hutchinson, where he said that Japanese games basically get a pass, that reviewers and game journalists, through nostalgia or whatever not, are easier on Japanese titles than they are on European or American titles. And that's their opinion. They're entitled to have it. I disagree with it. I think that most reviewers, if they're doing their job, like it's supposed to be done, that they don't give Japanese games
if they're objective, they give it the score they think it deserves. But scoring in general is just kind of a weird.
It's scoring's weird because the review is subjective. It's your opinion on a game.
Yeah.
A number is by its nature objective. Anyway, but my big beef with the Bearded Gamer is that he said that the stories in Japanese games are usually gibberish. That's his term, and that no one can explain to him quickly the complex mythology behind Metal Gear or Resident Evil. If you remember a couple episodes ago, we did our favorite PlayStation 1 games, and both Resident Evil and Metal Gear ended up in my top favorites. There's 2 things I really enjoy. Most of the times, Resident Evil 5 notwithstanding, and Resident Evil 5 got low review scores compared to the other ones, I enjoy Resident Evil games. Most of the time, I enjoy Metal Gear Solid games. In fact, off the top of my head, this might change in the near future with Revengeance. I can't think of a Metal Gear Solid game I didn't like.
The card one.
The card one's not horrible.
It's not
for the
horrible.
limitations of the PSP, there were better Metal Gear Solid games on the PSP, but when it came out, it was fun.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
It's a time killer.
Yeah, it's a time killer.
But anyway.
So my point, however, is, of course, you can't sum up the story behind Metal Gear Solid or Resident Evil quickly, because those series have, let's see, Metal Gear Solid would be 6 plus 7, so it would be 8. Metal Gear Solid has 8 canon core games. It has, Peace Walker, Portable Ops, the first 2 Metal Gear games on the MSX. And you can't, this franchise has been going on now for 20 years. You can't just sum that up and have it make sense.
Actually, it's been
quickly.
around for a lot longer, but yes.
Well,
in its current incarnation, the Metal Gear Solid series has been around for a while. Metal Gear as a series has been around since the arcades.
Well, yeah.
So
anyway, so you can't just sum that up. I mean, I could tell you that you play the main character named Snake, who is a veteran soldier, and his mission, with the help of his pals, is to stop the nuclear proliferation of these Metal Gear robots. And that's totally legit. That's what those games are about.
That's what Solid 1 and 2
and 3 and 4 and 1 and Metal Gear Snake's Revenge, and Peace Walker, and
in the prequels, it's Big Boss, who's the dad of Snake, but Snake is just a clone of Boss. So,
but you're still playing Snake, the main character.
Sort
so
of.
we can get into that, and it gets complicated. But also, like, that's not part of the elevator pitch. What we consider, if you're in an elevator with somebody, they go, "What's Metal Gear about?" That's what you tell them. You're a guy named Snake, and
the 3-minute version.
I mean, like Resident Evil is even simpler. You're a group of characters that are part of a special operations group that are trying to stop this virus outbreak caused by a corporation and a guy from inside your own unit that betrayed you. Like, that's all the Resident Evil games.
Yeah, that's the plot line of all of them.
I mean, even Resident Evil 4 falls into that umbrella. Once again, I summed it up really easy, really quick. And the problem is you saying you can't sum this up easy, quick, and have it make sense. I just did. And I skipped all the other stuff that has been building up in these series for like 6 years.
Yeah.
That make these games good. I mean, if you twisted my arm behind my back, I would probably say Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is the best Metal Gear Solid game. But I also really like Metal Gear Solid 4 because it was a great game in and of itself that also gave a wink and a nod to everything that came before it.
Yeah, okay.
So there's no Western title that has that. I mean, Assassin's Creed. You can give me the elevator pitch of Assassin's Creed, but it also gets really complicated.
Yeah, it does. It gets real bad.
I mean, if you told me Assassin's Creed, you're this guy named Desmond who,
his ancestors are assassins.
He's an assassin. Yeah. He's fighting against these Templar people. That doesn't tell me what Assassin's Creed 2 is about, where you are Ezio.
Yeah, why? Well, where did this Ezio guy come from? Where did Altair come from?
Even like you think of like a simple children's game like Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank's been around for a long time.
It's not. It is kind of a kid's game. It's all cartoony looking. I
wouldn't
agree that it's a children's game.
When we talk about Pixar kids game. Pixar kids game.
Yeah.
Is that it's built for children. They can get fun out of it, but there's a lot more there for adults.
Yeah, there is.
But once again, Ratchet and Clank's been around for there's been many Ratchet and Clank games. And you can elevator pitch that. You're a Lombax, which is a furry little alien creature that has a robot friend that rides on his back, and the two of you are out to stop some big bad guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's Dr. Nefarious, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you asking us to sum up those series quickly is a disservice to himself, is a disservice to the series, and Japanese stories are as gibberishy
as some of the newer ones.
As some of the Western games. Yeah. I mean, okay, like the most gibberish story I can think of is probably a Star Ocean game. They get pretty out there and weird.
It's pretty weird,
and very jargon specific. But most of the Star Ocean games I've played, the story is as comprehensible as like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Which, if you actually sit down and think about that story, keep in mind, Star Ocean's set in the future of space.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare is set now-ish,
like 2
and
weeks
the story makes no sense in reality, which is where that game is supposedly placed.
Yeah.
So my beef with the Bearded Gamer is that you are short-selling Japanese games because they are Japanese. There are games that don't make sense that they're Western. There are games that don't make sense that are Japanese. There are games that don't make sense that are European. That's fine.
Yeah.
But saying that all the Japanese things don't make sense or are gibberish, even though he earmarks Persona as one of his favorites, it's like you're asking the creators to sum up 10 years of games you might not have played.
Yeah.
That's not their job. Their job is to make a good game.
And you to play it so that you know what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't just jump into the middle of a series and go, oh, I get the whole thing.
I mean,
now.
You can do that with Mario. But Mario games don't really have a story.
Yeah,
and Mario games don't really have a story because they're a freaking kids game.
Sort of. Some people
Mario
still
games
love Mario
have
games.
as much story as like Skylanders In fact, I think Skylanders might actually have a little bit more story because it skews a little bit older, but...
Yeah, well, whatever.
I mean, just because you're an adult and you enjoy Mario doesn't make Mario an adult game.
No, it doesn't.
I enjoy Mario.
Yeah, I had.
I think it's very challenging, very fun. But I also agree, it's aimed for everybody. Which means it's also aimed for the kids.
So that they don't need a giant story as to how Princess Peach got captured this time or who the whatever. Yeah. I get it. I think a lot of people think that
if a European developer thinks that Japanese games get a pass, that European developer is not doing his job. If a Western developer thinks that Japanese games get a pass, that Western developer is not doing his job. If a Japanese developer thinks that Western or European developers get a pass, he's not doing his job. All it is you're shifting the blame. You didn't make the greatest game that you wanted it to be, so you're just saying, oh, well, that game got a pass because it's Japanese. That's super lazy. That's lazy journalism. That's lazy interaction with people, is to say, oh, I didn't get that promotion, so the other guy must be sleeping with the boss. Like, no. Maybe you didn't get that promotion because you don't deserve it. Maybe your game, Red Dead Redemption has an awesome story. Mm-hmm. I love Red Dead Redemption. And I would say Red Dead Redemption has as good a story as the Metal Gear Solid games.
And
it's totally true, yet. And they're both great games. Yeah. It doesn't have to do with, Red Dead Redemption's obviously didn't get as high a score as Metal Gear Solid because Metal Gear Solid's Japanese. No.
Okay. I see it. I think
I don't know. I'm yelling at you, but I'm picturing you with a beard. No, that's not true.
I think a lot of people look at Japanese games because when they were little, they had Nintendos, right? And Segas. And both of those companies are Japanese companies, right? So a lot of people look at Japanese companies and the games that they put out with a nostalgic view. Mm-hmm. And they want to think that all the games that they put out, and it's not, they're liquid gold or, cartridged gold. Cartridged gold. Not to be confused.
Can we get the cartridge gold dancers?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Anyway.
And I think they want to think that all the games they put out are going to be that. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much the reviewers... saying, okay, this game is Japanese.
The reviewers, they're our age. They grew up playing Metal Gear Solid games. So when the new Metal Gear Solid drops, they're going to know the backstory.
Yeah, a lot of them will. But I think some of these websites, and I know this is conspiracy theory-ish, but a lot of them, they have ads, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they crap all over a game, like what happened with,
Gerstmann
and GameSpot.
How many years ago was that? We're still talking about that.
But that whole thing with Sleeping Dogs and him saying, this is a crap game.
Not Sleeping Dogs.
Or not Sleeping Dogs.
Kane and Lynch.
Kane and Lynch. Dog Days, was it?
No, Dog Days is the sequel.
Okay. The original Kane and Lynch game. My bad.
Sleeping Dogs let's go.
Really good. Yeah. So they some of them are pushed to give games decent or good reviews because of advertising.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to understand, you have to look at a game for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is I've always said everyone's like, oh, Nintendo Wii has the highest rated titles of this console generation because it has both Mario Galaxy games. And my response is that's great, but we've been over this before. I don't really like 3D Mario games.
And I don't mind them.
I wasn't doing the 64 when it came out, so I don't really have that frame of reference. Mm-hmm. So when someone says, "Oh, this is the best 3D Mario game ever," it's not a ringing endorsement for me.
Because you don't like 3D Mario.
But I don't like 3D Mario games. So you have to look at the game for what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
And if it's part of a larger series, you also have to take that into account. Yeah. Not everything can be Final Fantasy where they just throw the baby out with the bathwater every time.
Yeah, that's true. They have to keep ideas and keep them going.
So speaking of Nintendo and our youth, we lost. Well, I'm not going to say we lost. I'm not going to say we're going to lose a dear friend. Not really a dear friend. We're going to lose that friend that you really liked
20 years ago.
20 years ago, and then they just started doing dumb crap, and then you haven't talked to them in forever.
Yeah.
So Nintendo Power is going the way of the dodo.
I don't know if they're going to have it'd be nice to see if they have a digital version like PC Gamer has where you can, every month you'll get a digital version of the magazine, but then that would just be the website.
Yeah.
So,
and let's be honest, Nintendo Power, since after the advent of the early 90s and really after the Super Nintendo, where there was a proliferation of video game magazines, Nintendo Power stopped being useful because their reviews aren't always what we'll call unbiased.
Didn't we just have a whole conversation about unbiased reviews?
Yeah, Nintendo Power was, and it was.
Well, I heard.
I bought Go-Go 13 as a child because they said it was awesome, and that game is actually broken.
his
There's
steaming pile of crap.
I mean, there's a glitch in the game that makes everything the main character says 3 dots. Even though you look in the game code, he has dialogue.
Yeah.
But there was a glitch in the game when they released it.
That would make it so that it wouldn't come up right.
But they said it was awesome.
Well, maybe it's a rare bug. I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, no, it's every cart.
Okay.
Every American cart.
So Nintendo Power, I think its last issue is going to come out in December of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And, that kind of sucks because I had a sub for Nintendo Power for a few years in the mid-90s. And
I'm old school Nintendo Power. I had Nintendo Fun Club. Y'all don't even know.
Okay, well, that's great.
When Coach was behind me like, Little Mac, join the Nintendo Fun Club, I was like, I want to beat Tyson. Yeah. So my subscription got rolled over from Nintendo Fun Club into Nintendo Power.
Okay.
So, and somewhere I still have a few issues hanging around. They used to do this really cool thing that they stopped doing in the mid-90s where Nintendo Power dropped every other month, and in between they gave you strategy guides. So, I have one that's basically here is the games coming out for this Christmas. Here is, a bunch of cheat codes. In the mid-90s after the Super Nintendo, they would do every issue a comic book. Little one page of a comic book. So one page of Link to the Past or one page of Super Mario World. And I lost my Link to the Past collected edition, but I still have my Super Mario World collected edition, which is super fun, and the art's really good.
That's cool.
So, but after N64 days, but we also, EGM became really big that time. GamePro became really big in that time. Nintendo Power stopped doing that, and they started being just another one of those video game magazines, but they only did Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know. I liked Nintendo Power when I had it.
I waited. I waited after school by the mailbox.
It's like, did it come today? But yeah,
it could be DuckTales codes. Yeah. Even though DuckTales. Oh, the other thing, Nintendo Power didn't have Game Genie codes.
No, but that's because the Game Genie wasn't a officially supported product.
The official Sega magazine had Sega codes.
Well, that's the Sega game. But yeah, it's sad to see something like that go. But with people spending more time on the internet, probably reading less
magazines
physical
in general are
material.
kind of
they're going with newspapers down on sales. So it's a prudent decision for them to say, okay, this isn't selling like we want.
And we need to cut some costs. Beginning, Nintendo Power now, I wouldn't buy.
No.
In fact, if I walk through
I might buy the last issue just to have the last issue.
But if I walk through by the magazine stand, and let's say there's an issue of Nintendo Power from now, and right next to it an issue of Nintendo Power from 1992, I'm going to buy the one from 1992, not the other one, because
and they're the same new price, right?
That is the nostalgia
of it. It hasn't been what it was once. In the early to mid 90s.
And I've seen people that have entire collections from Nintendo Fun Club to today of Nintendo Power, and it's just like, I just want this bookshelf. All that other crap.
Give me from here back. Yeah.
So
it's it's sad, but you kind of got to deal with that, and it's probably not a. Like I said, it's probably a good decision on them since for the first time ever, Nintendo lost money last year. And depending on how much this costs them to produce every year, it's probably going to save them a good chunk of that.
Well, they sold it off a while ago. It's been another publishing company for a while. Right. And, I mean, this is the least of Nintendo's problems. In fact...
Yeah, with the Wii U not getting a price yet.
Yeah, if the publisher wanted to just, not spend Nintendo's licensing fee, Nintendo Power probably could be a pretty good Wii U... propaganda tool.
Yeah.
Just like Nintendo Power was for the NES back in the day.
And the SNES and the N64.
Yeah. Nintendo Power BTW was the only magazine that thought the Nintendo 64 controller was genius.
Yeah, no. Nobody needs a Trident for a controller. Even though I have an N64 that kind of works.
I have an N64 too, and...
It's ungodly. I wish you could use a GameCube controller or a Super Nintendo controller, but you need that analog stick for a lot of the games. So.
If only we could use that Sega Saturn analog stick controller.
Darn.
All those kiddies out there, Nintendo thought of the analog stick first.
Not so much.
Analog stick's been around since, the 40s, and, it was in the Vectrex... And there's analog sticks for the Atari and the Sega Genesis.
Yeah. And really, your mouse is nothing more than an analog input device. So,
and actually, the first analog stick to come out for a modern console, supported by the first parties, was that Sega Saturn analog stick.
Yeah,
but
they made it popular.
Yes, clearly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nintendo, and Rare.
So
C'est la vie, Nintendo Power, que sera, sera. I remember the last issue I ever got of Nintendo Power, once we let the subscription lapse, was the Robin Hood issue, where they said Robin Hood Prince of Thieves is the best game.
Oh, and the movie tie-in?
No.
Yeah, no.
But, I also have a lot of good memories of, the DuckTales issue. I think when I think of Nintendo Power in my mind, I picture the Mega Man 2 cover. And like I said, those guides that they used to give you are just great. I had the Final Fantasy 1 guide until I was in high school, and that thing just fell apart from use.
Yeah. And that might be another reason that it's down. It's going down. Because really, a lot of what was in there was maps and stuff from the games.
Yeah, but that changed in later years.
It had to, because a lot of games didn't have
especially after
2D layouts like that.
Yeah, and especially after Nintendo sold off that license and they started their own player guides line. Because the player guides, it used to be Nintendo Power Player Guide.
Yeah.
That's what it would come every other month. And then once Nintendo sold off the Nintendo Power license, they just said, well, now it's just the player guides.
Yeah.
And I think strategy guides in general, I don't know at the top of my head, but I imagine they're not doing well because all of print media is not really doing well.
Well, no, and especially with games now, it only takes one patch for a game for that strategy guide to be useless.
Yes.
Some of the stuff might be accurate, but it like, I've seen the World of Warcraft ones, right? Just as an example, those are completely useless. As somebody who played way too much WoW. You go through them and you're like, that's not there anymore, that's not there, this has changed, those stats are wrong, so on and so forth. And it only takes a patch or two to make that go away. And with DLC for games and stuff, it's just weird. I never really liked strategy guides after a certain point.
Yeah, I usually... RPGs, I'll get a strategy guide.
Well, yeah, because
generally, like, if I've bought an RPG and I played it for a little bit and then I stop for whatever reason,
you get stuck.
I get stuck. Bored, so then I go buy the strategy guide and be like, okay, let me read through these pages to see where I was and how to power level my character.
But even that stuff you can get for free off of like Game Facts.
Yeah,
there's no pictures on a lot of those.
I have to really like a game to go get the strategy guide for it.
Yeah.
So I think the last one I bought was probably Dragon Age 1.
Yeah, I didn't buy a strategy guide for that. I just played through it. And for Demon Souls, I just used the Demon Souls wiki. I don't know if there was a print strategy guide for that game or not. But.
Yeah, Demon Souls, man, that got a free pass because it was Japanese. Clearly.
That game was mean. Holy crap, that game was mean. And it just came out for the PC last week. So,
crack.
If you want to try Demon Souls and you don't have a console, go ahead and download that or buy that. Don't pirate it. Buy it.
Is it Demon Souls? Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls came out a few years ago, but yeah, yes. Dark Souls came out for the PC this week.
Right. Anyway, so
I think it's $40 on Steam.
So C'est la vie, Nintendo Power.
Yep. Sorry to see you go, but
yeah, it's sorry to see you go, but you haven't really been doing much lately, so
yeah.
But I do wish. I think what Nintendo should do is go back and sell Dungeons and Dragons. Dragon magazine, the Dungeons and Dragons magazine, did this in the late '90s, and they sold archive discs of all of the old ones. I think Retro Gamer, the European magazine, does this. They'll sell this is all of 2001 on this CD. And I think Nintendo Power should do that. I think with the Wii U, what would be really cool...
That'd be kind of a neat thing to have.
You could thumb through it on the thing. Yeah.
If you're playing like a virtual console game and you really wanted it. And if they have a premium, internet, or a premium service like
if there's
PlayStation
Wii U
Plus. Yeah, or, the Xbox Live Gold accounts or whatever. If there's a Wii U equivalent to that, that would be something that would be cool to throw in there.
But I don't know that they'll do it.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do it, and if they don't...
Because they're not, once again, the Wii U's not really going after the retro Super Nintendo-loving audience.
No, but it would do a lot better with even with that weird, unergonomic controller.
September 13th, supposedly, is when we're going to find out the release date
and the price of the Wii U.
I
don't know. I don't think it's probably going to get pushed back to next year. I know they don't want that. It feels like it's going to get rushed out. But whatever.
I don't care.
You're not buying one.
I'm not buying one.
I'm probably not going to buy one either. I don't have a 360 and a PS3. I don't need a PS Wii 60.
In staunch, protest of the Nintendo Wii U, when it comes out, I will go buy a Neo Geo.
What? The Neo Geo Pocket thing?
No, an old Neo Geo.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe an MVS. One of the arcades collapsed down.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see that. Yeah,
Shake my fist angry.
Well, but I'm the only thing I'm really
me.
interested to see for the Wii U is any of the new Zelda games.
Which they haven't said they're doing a new Zelda game.
No,
I mean,
but
you just know they
they're
are
going to do one, and the tech demo that they showed looked amazing.
Hey, remember that tech demo?
Yeah,
they showed the
for
GameCube?
Final Fantasy VII on the PS3.
I'm talking about the one where they announced the GameCube and they showed the tech demo of Link fighting Ganondorf.
Yeah,
and it looked amazing. And then 5 years later, we finally got Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I know.
Or now that you mention it, I do remember there being an N64 Final Fantasy tech demo. For I guess it would have been Final Fantasy VII, because it was 6 on the Super Nintendo.
And yeah,
but
I know.
It never happened.
It never happened because
it's a freaking tech demo.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I remember seeing a Final Fantasy VII HD tech demo that's never
PS3,
going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
Because it's a tech demo.
I understand that. But you know Nintendo's going to put out a Zelda game for the Wii U, and it's going to look close to that. It's not going to be exactly.
If they made another Wind Waker, I would buy a Wii U.
If they've made another Wind Waker. Yeah, I know. I want to buy a GameCube specifically just for Wind Waker and the good version of Twilight Princess, because I don't want to waggle my way through it.
I have the waggle version. I'm never going to buy the GameCube version because they already sold me on the waggle version.
But you could always hook up a GameCube controller and play it that way just as well.
Okay, so our picks are our picks for this week, since we've kind of ran this Nintendo horse into the ground.
Yeah.
Neither of our picks for this week, games you should play, games that we want to spotlight, are Nintendo properties. So I'll let you go first.
Well, mine's kind of a Nintendo property.
In no way is it Nintendo. It's aping a Nintendo property.
It is, very much. Mine is, I already talked about it. I've been playing Darksiders, and I think all of you should play Darksiders as well.
Darksiders 1's going to be pretty cheap.
It is pretty, yeah. I think when I picked it up over a year ago, it was like $15. You could probably get it for less than that.
I bought it new for $40, and then sent off a little deal and got Red Faction for Red Faction Guerrilla as a free game. So
you got 2 games for $20.
Two games for $40.
$40. That's not too bad. I love it.
It's good.
It is Legend of Zelda meets God of War. For all intents and purposes, that's what it is.
But not as good as either of those two things separately.
No, it's a pretty good mesh of the two, though.
Yes.
And with Darksiders 2 having come out last week, was it Tuesday of last week? I think it was the 20th. I wanted to play it, but I don't want to buy it until after I beat the first game, just because I hear there's story stuff that's related to what happens.
And because it will be cheap.
And because it will be cheaper when I get done with it. But that just depends on what's going on. It went to screensaver and it scared me. I thought it died.
Shiny object, spooks Dave.
Okay. So my pick is Darksiders for this week.
My pick is actually just came out as a PlayStation 2 classic on the PlayStation Store, so it had me thinking about it. Shinobi for the PS2. Shinobi for the PS2, if you've never played it, is super hard. You don't need to play any other Shinobi games to get it. It was kind of Shinobi sat out the PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn time, except for this tactics game. So on the PlayStation 2, this was kind of, I remember the ad campaign, Shinobi's back.
Okay.
Was the big thing. Shinobi's back. And it's awesome. It looks good. There's good physics on the dude's scarf. It's super challenging, but it's super fun. It has this neat mechanic where your sword eats lives. So the more people you kill with your sword, the stronger it is. So a lot of the end bosses...
So your sword levels up as you go.
Well, yeah, but essentially it only stays leveled up for so long.
Oh, okay.
So once you kill a guy, a timer starts.
You have to chain
him together. And the final bosses are like... And the final bosses will spawn in mobs for you to kill. And it becomes like, kill everybody on the screen so your sword's super power up.
And then attack the boss for a second and then go back to killing guys. Okay.
And there are levels where you cannot touch the ground. You have to only do wall runs and triple jumps and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's tough, but fun. And it's...
Okay.
We talk a lot about, once again, about Nintendo hard. Things being Nintendo hard. And this is one of the newer games that really nails that Nintendo hard.
Yeah. At
the same time of giving you a nice, steady upward climb towards that difficulty. I remember when I beat it in college, when it first came out, spending all day on the final boss, and just if you just hit him, you're just whittling down this little life bar, whittle.
Chipping pixels.
Yeah, and I remember going through and just killing all of his mob guys, and getting the sword as powered up as I could. I mean, it changes from like I think blue to pink to red to like purple to like black. And I remember getting it black and like slashing him once with black, and half of his life bar fell off.
Huh, okay.
And it was like, oh.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
Well, I knew that's how I was supposed to do it, but like that, you have to get that strong.
You have to get that much going on before you get there.
And when I finally beat it, was one of those moments I like throw the controller up in the air and I'm like jumping around.
Is that when you still had the Nerf controller?
Yes.
Okay.
The Nerf controller was when that happened.
It's a good thing it was too.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So please do yourself a favor. I think it's $10 on the PlayStation Store. Go play Shinobi. I wish they had added in trophy support for it, because I really want a trophy that says, you beat Shinobi on the PS2, you are amazing.
I guess they don't have trophy support.
There's no trophy
They don't
support
have
for
backward
PS2.
Compatibility support for that.
Yeah, no trophy support for PS1
That
and PS2
sucks.
classics.
But,
at least you can still play them. Mm-hmm. And Shinobi, if you have a PS2, you can probably go out and find it somewhere for $10 to $15. Maybe 20. There's a sequel for it, Nightshade, that's also very good. Don't start with Nightshade because, like I said, Shinobi's difficulty curve
goes like this. Nightshade is like this.
Nightshade's is like, here's a tutorial level, and then here's the rest of the game.
Have fun.
Like, it is a continuation of Shinobi.
Okay.
But also very good. I would recommend picking it up. It'll probably be a collector's item.
The second one?
The second one, because it was a low print release latter day of the PS2.
Okay. That's cool.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your Pokemon. We have big news coming up. More shows. We'll tell you when it happens. Bye.
Okay.